and that I'm open to questions that you may have at this point. Hope that taught you something you didn't know yet. Yeah, Tim.
The next question, but this is back to the quality control on the issue of the database on open access journals. Is there a policy in place or an oversight or some way of getting reviewing those who get on that list? How can we, other than deals, know?
So I think that the Directory of Open Access Journals does apply a level of quality control by looking to see that the journal claims to have peer review. But I think that, and Christy, please jump in if you know more than I do. So Christy's our serial librarian and our head of resources management, and very knowledgeable in this area. In reality, we don't have ways of judging quality of print publications. I think that was Michael Eisen's point, is that if you take a directory like Ulrich's print directory of periodicals, or the serials directory, the things that librarians use to know what journals are out there, there's no quality indicator in there. It's just a directory of what exists and criteria about the journal, things that you can learn. How often is it published? What is its what is its circulation statistics? Where does it get indexed is often, in my view, a way of judging quality. And I don't know how many of you publish, but this is frequently something that I hear faculty talk about, or researchers talk about, using as a quality indicator. They want to be, even in this day and age when many of us are using Google Scholar to find things, they still want to publish in journals that are indexed in the biomedicine and PubMed. And there are plenty of journals out there that are not yet indexed in PubMed. Do you publish in one of those? Those journals typically end up at the bottom of a list when someone's selecting where to publish. So it's really hard to break in. And once you do break into those indexing, tracking programs, that's one level of quality. And you'll see that in the literature about open access. Is that journal being indexed by any of the core index services? But what do you do when you're brand new? That's a bar to achieve. We actually had a conversation with more than an editor. I'm trying to remember the name of the journal, but we had someone come to talk with us who is at that point in publishing a journal. It was changed to an open access journal, and one of his goals was to get the journal indexed by PubMed because he felt that would help raise the quality view of the journal in other people's eyes. Yeah, that's fine. No, I think we need a discussion, so go right in. Yeah, so I just wanted to share with our remote audience that we've been talking about the quality of peer review in scholarly journals from a longtime faculty member's perspective. And I think that speaks to the slide that I included, and I'd go back and look at this whole idea of open evaluation. There are models in other disciplines that are actively pursuing open evaluation of research. And I think that as the platforms become available, I think PLOS is probably moving more in that direction. That is possible, but it really requires the researcher community to come together around that idea as a good idea and how they want to proceed. I'm not sure that it ends up being less effort than peer review, but it will be interesting to watch it develop. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, hi, yeah. So what is my view? So the question is, do I have a view about what researchers should do when they receive invitations to publish in an open access journal? or to review articles that are being published in an open access journal. I think that that's really a place where you need to bring your critical thinking and look at what's going on, look at the integrity of the journal. PLOS One is an interesting entity because it's not PLOS Medicine, it's not PLOS Biology, it's got a different model. But it is one that I think that seems to be working. So to explore what you think of that model, what is the model? Is it actually a journal that exists? I'd be very cautious. I think sometimes you receive those requests because the author has named you as someone. So that's something to look for. Is it coming from someone that you know? Any other people who have made choices to publish in open access journals or review them? What kind of critical ability? I think in dentistry we're actually a bit challenged because there isn't a PLOS dentistry. There isn't anything of that comparable quality yet in dentistry. There are a couple of mid-range. And so I think to talk with some of the people, there are people in the school that are publishing in those journals. How did they make those decisions to publish there? What has it meant for them to do that? But it is certainly a place where there's not any one clear answer to that question until the journals rise to that level of what you're talking about, where you're going to say, well, this is comparable to the journal that I'm already really strongly working with. Yeah.
About Google Scholar. There's a lot of, if you go to Google Scholar outside of the library, there are a lot of journals that, or articles that have been made accessible.
Right.
And I'm just wondering what they could be from Iran or China or Taiwan, and I'm just wondering what the copyright violations of that are, and and there are, you can see people from standard American universities, and maybe this one, where people from some department have decided to put it online and Google has found it. And I'm just wondering what that.
Yeah, I think you see that kind of author posting of articles more with Google than with Google Scholar. Google Scholar is kind of getting from journal data, so it's pulling things that is available. Not to say that there are not things from institutions and all there, but usually my understanding of Google Scholar, and one of the challenges for librarians with Google Scholar, which if you want an opinion, I really like Google Scholar. I don't put it down. Well, I just think it does, if you know what it's doing and how it's doing it and you use it appropriately, I think it's an amazing tool. The challenge is that most of us, and even as a librarian, we really don't know where the data is coming from. We don't know the scope of the data. We don't know how current it is. We don't know, because all of that's hidden in their business model. We know a little bit about the construct of the database, but I can tell you the journals that are in PubMed and how current they are and how they get the data and what they do with it once they get it, but I can't tell you that with Google Scholar. Are there articles out on the internet that should not be posted and violate copyright? Certainly. No, certainly, yes. So, yes. But I think that there are a lot of those that are within the rights of the authors to post online because of the increased change in the copyright regulations related to things like NIH public access and the pressure from the open access community. So many of the licenses now say that in the same way that an author can deposit an article in PubMed Central with those same kinds of limitations. So it's the author manuscript, not the final final edited article, it's the final peer-reviewed manuscript, and that you do so after an embargo period. So I think that those things are important limitations. Are they always followed? It would be an I haven't looked for a study like that. There probably is one, and I haven't looked for it, but the journals do follow up on that stuff and go down and ask people to take things down. Do you have any sense? Does anybody else have any knowledge, sense of frequency of copyright violated material? But I think the growing access is that green array that is legitimate and based on the licenses that are signed. But then I tend to look at the world through rose-colored glasses too. So any further interest, burning OA questions? Anything from the remote audience? So, right. So thank you all for coming, and hope this was helpful.